with us in the upcoming details that we are tracking very closely, while also Major General S.V.P. Singh, who's a war veteran, 1971 Indo-Pak war veteran, joining me live on the telecast as well. Appreciate your presence, sir, on the telecast. And we also look at these details that are coming from the Iranian state media, which show that there has been not much response instilled by fear or in fact of that caution from Iranian regime coming at this point of time. If one has to look at it very comprehensively, how is this entire in fact escalation in the morning itself of the Middle East looks like to you? Do you see the US attacks as a point of escalation or a de-escalation?
Well, firstly, I would like to say that this US bombing of the 3 nuclear sites by its B-52 bombers is just not a military strike. It is crossing of a fresh red line beyond the Rubicon line. That's the way I will put it. And what is it going to do now? It's going to unfold multiple axes, military aspects, the military escalation, which I'll cover, which you asked me also, the geopolitical alignments, the regime stability, the regional war dynamics, and the global power equations. Now, these are the factors which are going to dictate. Now you talked about the escalation. You see, this has been an ongoing thing. The sanctions itself against Iran for many years has been the stage one of the escalation. And that was always followed or involved shadow operations, proxy war, hybrid war operations, which were being done through its axis of resistance, which was there surrounding Israel. Now, that is, I would say, the stage 1 and 2 of the escalation ladder. Now, stage 3, 4 was the one when October 7, Hamas attacked Israel with those drone attacks, and it became the stage 3, 4 of the escalation because Israel has always maintained that Iran is involved in it. Today's action is getting on to stage 5/6 of the escalation ladder, because this is the first time United States has attacked Iran. So far, there has been no such thing. And in the cause of the Israelis, Americans in the Arab-Israeli wars or the smaller wars, the Lebanon war of 1982 and the ongoing war like now, they have given material warlike support, operational logistics support to Israel. So this time, they have joined the operations in a non-contact warfare. Now, it will perhaps remain a non-contact warfare at this stage because America should not forget its lessons from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Iraq is the western neighbor of Iran and Afghanistan the eastern neighbor. From both these nations, America had to beat a retreat, particularly the one in Afghanistan was perhaps a very, very poor show on the American plan, and the world called it a shameful withdrawal. So America has to keep in mind, America right now is fighting 2 wars, I would say now, the tariff wars, and now this is a conventional nuclear war tipping line. So America has to watch its steps, plan ahead. No doubt the American military might is supreme, is numero of the world, their American might, of the military might, and that is on display. President Trump's short speech giving the details of the operation gives out a very, very harsh and clear message to Iran not to retaliate. But it also touches upon the Iranian pride, the Persian pride. And will Iran take it, or what will they do? Yes, retaliation is always an option, but what form of retaliation could come? You see, Iran is in no state to retaliate militarily. What it can do, what the enemies which are weaker, is the asymmetric proxy and the hybrid wars. And America has got and should be having their threat perception very clear. the 8 countries where they have the military bases, they are a target for Iran because even their short-range missiles can reach them. So that is one. Yes, if it does that, then there are the Arab nations, the Gulf nations, which Iran has also to weigh in. But that is one option definitely available. And I have never ruled out the homeland security of America. Well, they very recently they nabbed one Pakistan origin this thing from Canada who was wanting to carry out very major terrorist actions against the Jews in America, and now he's in the American custody. So that option is always available with Iran if they want to do. So America has to tighten its belt in its homeland security. Next point is that Iran, they have got as an option the Hormuz Strait, to choke the Hormuz Strait or to seal it. But I feel when I assess that, though it's been talked in the strategic world, choking or closing the Hormuz Strait is a very difficult.
Proceed to your next point, I would also like to request you to kindly also focus on this important aspect. And before I proceed to my further question, and I ask you to comment on that, is that just 2 weeks ago, after the global watchdog has found the Iran failing to meet the nuclear obligations, it had formally declared Iran of the breach of its non-proliferation obligations for the first time in 20 years. And that brings me to, in fact, this emphasis on this point, that do you think the US has violated the IAEA agreement by targeting these nuclear bases? Mr. Singh.
Well, as per the international law, the United States has overstepped its red line. As per the Constitution of the United States, the president has gone to this war without the congressional approval. So that is answerable, and how it is dealt with in America, it is up to them what they do. But these two aspects are there. Now you talked about the IAEA. Well, I will tell you, IAEA is also motivated. Look, their director of intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, she said there was no threat, that Iran had not trespassed any lines. So that is their director of intelligence who said that. And the president has opposed her just a few days back. Now, that means there is no assurity. And IAEA, you see, we have to know how these neutral members of it react. They are all Western oriented. And whenever there have been some actions, I'll give the Indian example. Look, how many of our scientists have met their end through suicides? How? Why? So we have to weigh this IAEA reports, because if one side of the report says they have not crossed the line, then how come it is happening? And I think what has been the worst case which has happened, that during Obama tenure as president, an agreement was reached in 2015 in which really Iran had accepted all the mandates desired by America and the Western countries, which included the P5 members. And it was signed. But in 2018, President Trump came and rescinded this agreement. It was scrapped. And whereby in that agreement, Iran had agreed to abide with all the mandates and the restrictions imposed on them. Now, I think that was a very good achievement, but perhaps or possibly it has been at the behest of Israel Netanyahu, who has actually been dictating the clock in the last 25, 30 years of anti-Iran operations. Now, you see, Israel has got its own cause because Iran definitely has threatened to wipe them out from the map of the world and from the earth, which was a very major threat to our nation. So the nuclear threat in being was very great. So Israel reacted to this threat, and Iran at no time tried to pacify or come out with Israel that that is not so. So this current regime of Iran is answerable for that. And entire contention, the bone of contention lies in this, the nuclear capacity of Iran. If it has to be peaceful and being monitored, perhaps that would be okay. But mostly nations are not accepting Iran to be a nuclear power, including the Arab nations. So that is what it is. And there's a question mark on this, even from the Russian and the Chinese side. So Iran has not been able to take along the diplomatic world with it on this count. Now, with this situation, but I was trying to cover that I was on Hormuz Strait, and if I have your permission, I can cover a little more on that.
All right, Major General Mr. Singh, thank you very much for being with us on the telecast. And even right now, I'll request your patience.